Hello, hello.
Hello, hello.
Looks like a lot more people going in and giving the Vault a try, which is good. Hi, Benny. Chicken. What's the chicken mean, mate?
Means me.
You're saying. Yeah, he's just saying. Are you saying hello to the chicken? Hello to chicken without the hi. Right, there you go. Okay, so I think we can make a start. What have we got? We got. We got most people here. Luke, do you want to intro the new week or the new AMA week with some product stuff?
Yeah, I think our post a little bit earlier kind of said it all, but we have just pushed a new build. So this is build 99. We're going to go in there tonight and explore it a bit, but the main highlights for anyone that haven't read the release notes yet are the SkyBox is in there in VR and mobile, so you can go into your apartment or even the demo apartment and go and customize those skyboxes. So again, they're AI created, so you've got pretty much unlimited possibilities with that. I've just been doing the same one every time because I just want to look out the window and see New York, but I end up just getting stuck on New York all the time. But I've done some really cool ones as well. I've done golf courses and all sorts of stuff. So that's definitely something to go and kill some time on. We've also added the mobile editions of the arcade and Fear. So you can go in on your mobile. In the arcade, you can play the video games in the back corner. You can play music, and then you can interact with the bottles and the food, but no beer pong yet. And in Fear, you can explore the castle, so you can actually go in and walk around the castle, and you have the torch like you do in VR. Everything's pretty much the same as VR in that respect, but we can't do games yet just because we've got obviously the dynamic of picking up the diamond when you find it. So we're looking into that still, the best way to do that and make that happen. But the explore the castle is awesome because you can go in with people on VR and actually walk through the castle and talk to them. And we've got the open mic in there like we do the global audio. So basically you can talk to anyone in the castle at any time, no matter how far away from them you are, as you can in VR. We've done a lot of work on the AI integrations. Some of those we obviously got in very quickly, and we've actually gone back and re-looked at that code and sort of improved it a lot. So we've got a lot less. It's basically generating a lot faster and a lot more smoothly. And then the last one, we've got jumping and crouching as well. That's worth mentioning too. It's a lot of fun if you haven't seen that on mobile yet, which most people haven't. We've been playing it with internally a bit. We kind of forget some of this stuff. We muck around with it and then we forget that people haven't seen it. But that's definitely a fun thing to try. And then the citizens are in there in a test capacity. So you can go in and load up a sample citizen and sort of muck around with it a bit. The individual personalized citizens that are based on the holdings in your wallet, they'll be in the next version, and there'll be some improvements to them as well. We've made them a little bit bigger, and we've worked on the visual aspects a little bit of them as well. So there's a lot to see and do in there. And in the second half of the AMA tonight, we'll go into Fear with basically everybody on all the different platforms, and we'll do a walkthrough together. That way we can have a conversation, and we can obviously we can ask questions and respond live in there. So I think that's pretty much what we've got this week, but we're really excited to obviously share that update. We're about 3 versions ahead internally, so there'll be another one closely following it, but we wanted to get a lot of those features out as soon as possible. And that's it for me, unless anyone else has got anything to add from the product side.
No, you're going to share the community that phishing is coming soon in the vault.
If you have anything to do with it, Will. You can do what? You can do a phishing scene as a SkyBox, Pete, and see how that works out.
Yeah, I've done a SkyBox of me being underwater, so yeah.
There's also there's a Mutant Pete coming as well, isn't there, mate? Any updates from that you want to share, Red Pill or Phil?
For Quest, there's no game updates. However, for those that are playing, I just remember that these next 2 weeks are still the single designs. So it's the best time to play to complete collections. If you're doing that, because in 2 weeks we'll be consolidating all the designs. So it'll be much harder to collect full sets.
Red Pill, you got anything that you want to share?
No, I think Luke covered it.
Okay, so Lala or Evan Gecko?
Just that today, just to update you guys for last week's leaderboard challenge, we will be drawing the winner for the grub game. So before we jump into the vault, we'll do one grub game, then we will see who wins and walks away with some Cox packs.
Awesome. Some questions. LSH 12,005. Will it eventually resemble smooth, ultra high quality avatars? If so, what's the high time frame ETA on that? And is there a projected timeline on the improvement of the graphics in terms of avatars and frame rate, etc.? Luke, do you want to handle the first part of that?
So I think we've talked about this a few times, and we even kind of briefly touched on it last week in a different context, but we're hampered by the hardware we're using at the moment, and obviously being cross-platform, we have to be able to support different types of hardware as well, like mobile and VR. And on the mobile side, it's kind of a tough one because you have to go back a few versions of Android, which means you're looking at a few years worth of handsets you're covering as well. So the issue with that is if you don't go back far enough, people say, why isn't my device supported? And if you keep it to, and if you do go back a fair way, then you're obviously very limited by the hardware you've got to work with. And even the Quest itself, the Quest 2s are quite limited. I mean, they've improved the efficiency side of things a bit, and they've changed the limitation on the hardware recently in update 55 on the Quest side. So that's sort of helped a little bit as well, but we're still very limited by the hardware, and we just have to think about what it is. It's not a console game. It's a portable game that is cross-platform, and we're sort of pushing the limits of what you can do on VR. If you look at other VR projects that are out there, I think our graphics stack up really well. And from a mobile side of things, if you look at what sort of open world games there are that are cross-platform on mobile, it stacks up really well because there aren't any others. So I think it will obviously evolve as technology evolves, as the software and tools we're using evolves, will become more efficient, and as hardware evolves, we'll obviously use that hardware as best we can. But I think we're doing the best with the hardware we're working with at the moment, and there's the reasoning behind that we can go on all night about, but we mentioned this last week as well. The portability of those headsets are probably more important at the moment than anything else. So if we have to compromise a little bit in other areas, that's a trade-off we're definitely willing to make. I don't know if Urban Gecko or Red Pill want to add to that at all.
Yeah. With regards to the avatars and the quality, I think the quality that we have on mobile is on par with what some other avatars have been made available through projects that aren't necessarily even targeted to mobile. They're desktop, mobile, whatever, and they're not even VR. So I don't think that quality at the moment is all that subpar or bad. I think it's actually pretty good based on the current standards. And on top of that, what people need to understand is when you look at these AAA games, like I think a lot of people are looking at this current Starfield, and they see those models, running something on a desktop is a whole nother story. And again, game ready assets are to make assets to that quality and that standard and make them game ready. That is, you're talking years of work just on those avatars. It is no joke. It's not easy. It's incredibly complicated because once you get to certain levels of detail, making them not break when they move and all that stuff is very hard. So there's a lot of factors that play behind the scenes there, and performance is the number one determinator at the moment, like Luke said. So I honestly think it's really doing well.
And if you listen to the keynote speech of the last Roblox keynote speech, he talks about the fact that not one person surveyed and not one person from the user groups and testing groups or whatever cited that they would play more, spend more time, spend more money in Roblox if the graphics were better. It's got like absolutely almost zero relevance to the social factor, the gameplay and the building and all the rest of it. So ultimately speaking, as stated, as we have tackled many times, this is about as good as you can do on the technology that we're using. If you get in and check out some of the other VR games and platforms and all the rest of it, as the guys said, it's extremely comparable. We're actually running at we're pushing it even harder than some of those are. But as the technology improves, as we've stated, the graphics will get better for sure. And Jay Charles, assuming the Bitcoin halving kicks off the next bull run, do RFOX have a strategy to capitalize on the hype influx of investors' metaverse narrative? I'm sure a few of us can probably answer that. I'll give a very brief answer to that from the perspective of we are perilously close now, but that's what we're working on as far as making sure that we do have those tools in the creator's hands. You're seeing that you can go into the Vault now and you can play around and practice. And as they said, the AI avatars will be there tonight. But you've also got you've seen the SkyBox, you've seen the customization through voice. The closer we get to completing that, and the quicker we can make it hands off and allow the creators to come in and actually build themselves, then that is going to be a massive and compelling narrative. We are actually formulating a narrative towards the tools that we are putting out now. So that's something that has been crafted for the last little while, and that's going to be released by some higher profile firms. But ultimately speaking, the thing that's really going to drive that is the type of thing that we're doing once it gets used. And for those who follow the news, I think it was Roblox today, was it, guys? Someone from the team will tell us. But they're talking about the introduction of AI into their platforms and at what levels. So once again, we're really sort of pushing the boundaries and we're ahead of the curve. But ultimately, we have to make sure that we've got it available to the end users and the creators so that they can get in, deploy, and talk about that. That's what's going to be really, really important. And obviously, we're close. We're doing things the right way. We've built the right way. We just have to finish those tools to be able to capitalize on that. And I think we're in really, really good shape. Internally, we're seeing the right type of numbers move. We're seeing more people download. We're seeing more people come in. We're seeing a little bit more stickiness. But we're very, very focused as a team on making sure that we're laser focused on stickiness and the users coming back in and capitalizing on that so that when we do get an influx, we're not just having tons of people come through, have a bit of a sticky beak and then leave. We want them to come in and stay. That's what we're working on. And all of the signs are encouraging. We know exactly where we have to focus and what we have to focus on. A question with regards to mobile usage. Movement can be a little tricky, especially in smaller areas like the arcade. Are you guys thinking about supporting controllers connected to your phone?
I haven't actually tried this, but with Unity, the controls are pretty much embedded. So I wouldn't be surprised if it already works. And for example, if I run a iOS app on Mac, as a native app, I can use the keyboard for controls, or I can use the screen. So sorry, using the on-screen controls. So I suspect it would probably work, but I can. Or on this call, I'll give it a go. I'll let you know. I'll test it and let you know.
Yep, awesome. SV, hello, a few questions. Has the organisation structure changed in any way versus what is stated in the RFOX website? That's pretty much up to date. Has the CSO advisors management changed in any way, and if so, what are the impact? No, we've been very stable there. What happened to RFOX Media? I haven't heard any news regarding it recently, perhaps because it is not aligned with current objectives. Has RFOX Media achieved anything significant with regards to the Vault? So RFOX Media is still plugging away. We still get updates internally. They're still renewing clients and focusing on what they always have done, still doing production for us as well. Ultimately, as all of the pieces are coming together in the Vault, we're working on ways to integrate all the different components that we have, including Quest and KOGs and everything into the platform. So that's something that we are continually working on, is bringing all that in together. We think the media and the e-commerce side, as we've stated since the beginning, they're going to be big components of the metaverse because of the fact that there'll be advertising and obviously good pathways to bringing people into the Vault through the media arms. So again, it's once that acquisition arm kicks off because of the creator tools, media will come into a much bigger play then. And as far as and e-commerce is the same. E-commerce will work from the retail capacity in the Vault once all of those creator tools are fully out. What do you think are the easiest demographic to reach for the RFOX Vault, e.g., people who already use Oculus, people interested in the metaverse, etc., and because they have all got different interests? How do you get such different demographics interested? It's a good question. I think ultimately the creators, it's sort of one follows the other, right? If the creators pick up the tools and start building, you've got to also take into consideration that different builders are going to build different things. And the creators act as that flywheel for acquisition. So the creators are helping to acquire customers by bringing those customers onto the platform, and then that allows us to scale rapidly. Obviously, the network effect of creators building, bringing in users, those users also being exposed to other creators and other things within the Vault makes it really powerful and allows us to power that wider economy. So Oculus users, from a user perspective, obviously makes sense. And again, what we get is a lot of people who either haven't been into the Vault or haven't used VR before. A lot of those people will give very different feedback to people that come in, and we have that have used VR a lot. Like we've had comments shared today from other influencers who have come in and sort of said, wow, that looks good, or how did you do that, or that's a cool scene. So I think that it's a lot easier to sell for people that are Oculus users and people that are VR users and accustomed to that. It's also a good entry point and a gateway for people that have never used VR before from the user perspective. But ultimately, a lot of those users coming in will be driven by the type of creators and what they're creating in the Vault. We've got an understanding of the pipeline of who's likely to build and what they're bringing into the Vault. But obviously, that's going to change over time. And as more developers come in and more creators come in, the types of things they bring in, whether it's more heavily geared towards gaming or experiences or social elements, will greatly determine the type of users that we get as well. So part and parcel of sort of us building, maintaining, and putting the tools out there, and then becoming much more hands-off and having the creators build out those nested scenes and experiences means that also a lot of that user acquisition and the drive of the type of customers that are coming in is dictated by what they're building and what they're developing and what they're pushing out there as well. So that's why it becomes a little bit ambiguous, but it's good because we really don't have to build all of that stuff ourselves. It's being built by other people.
There was one other question, which was any new builds coming for KOGs Quest, like KOGs Quest version 2. I don't know if Phil wants to have a go at that.
Yeah, absolutely. There will be a new build, but we're not ready to give details on it yet.
We have an internal roadmap though, so there is stuff coming and it is planned. So yeah, stay tuned.
Okay. What status of marketplace and getting transactional volume going? Pete, do you want to, without giving away the farm, do you want to sort of just point to or indicate that we're about the fact that we're working on the economy side of things?
Yeah, so we've got an economic design already planned out. Right now, I'm in the works of working on the technical details on implementation, so that the team
Yeah,
can
so
build it. So I don't want to say more. Otherwise,
Yeah,
there's going to be a mute button.
yeah, so XP, there's also another driving factor as well, because the transactional volume will also not only come from, and I think you can put two and two together by looking at what we're talking about and what we're showing you, but as creators pick up the tools and build, there's transactions from that side of things as well, right? So access to, usage of, maintenance of, versus a guy with a space with a plaque on a wall selling an item. It's not one dimensional, it's multiple dimensions, and obviously those transactions will come through a marketplace, and B, also through the subscription or use of services and tools that are made available to creators and users. So that side of things you're already seeing the first element of, and we're already testing and collecting data. So for those of you who haven't done so, it's really important to get in there just from the user perspective. You might say, I'm not a creator, I don't want to create anything. But once you get in there and you have a look, and if you're keeping across and abreast of all of the updates that we're doing with the creator tools and these tools that we're making available, you'll be able to customize spaces. You'll be able to do these SkyBox backgrounds. You'll be able to play around with AI avatars. And very quickly, you'll start to realize, hey, I could do this myself, or this is going to be possible, or that's going to be possible. And what it really helps us when you go in there and pick up something and give it a try, because we get to see how many people are trying that, how many people are trying that again and again, what's interesting to people. All of that data in these very early days is tremendously helpful. And you've got a voice right now when you're giving feedback, and many of you have gone in and filled out on Canny or have given us feedback that you've seen implemented. And the thing is that we have those channels open to you guys. It is a golden time to get in there and give us feedback. When we start to progress and we start getting more and more people coming in and more quickly as well, that user feedback is flooded, and we have to bucket it and categorize it and sift through. Right now, you've got a clear pathway to being able to say, hey, that's cool, I like that, I'm using that. But we're looking at the data every single day for what type of involvement, how many people are using credits, how many people are coming back in. All of that stuff is very important to us. So it's important that you are providing that feedback, not only through your word of mouth and also through filling out feedback, but just by the data of going in there and doing the same things over and over again. That's really, really very helpful information for us. So thank you. And Hanford, would be cool to see a coming soon advertisement showcasing different shops in the works for the Vault. I'm a bit curious. Nice to see announced partnership shop owners, but that doesn't mean they're building or coming soon. That's really true, Hanford. And eventually, very soon, we'll get in to a point where that'll be largely hands off for us, in the sense that we're helping handhold and onboard people. The quicker we get the tools and the quicker it becomes to deploy through the use of the tools, that wait time becomes significantly lower. But it also means that that's entirely up to those people, the pace at which they go. But we know for sure and certain, if we had the full end-to-end tools available and easy to use right now, that there'd be a number of people that would deploy straight away. So there is people that are sort of waiting on us to release stuff. Great answers. Thank you for your time. No problems at all. Keep the questions coming whenever you've got them, and we'll try and get through them. And with KOGs ROI, I will buy a VR headset. I think it's really important. I mean, I shouldn't say this as a person who spearheads a project, but ultimately, and I'm being very, very serious when I say this, and this has nothing to do with the way that it's built or designed or whatever. If you've been in on a headset and then you go in on a mobile phone, you kind of go, nah, I'm going back in on a headset. I can't possibly explain. It's not an exaggeration. It's one of those things you have to see. Once you go in on a headset, it's just not the same thing. So I would recommend, if you plan to spend any significant amounts of time or develop or build in the Vault, I would say that it's an extremely worthwhile investment, and it's especially cheap compared to the price of some of these NFTs that are floating around. So it is a very, very cool experience. Okay, team, want to add anything, or do we just want to get the hell in there?
All right, we're going to give a few people maybe say 5 minutes to get the latest build. Please be reminded before you jump into the Vault, the build that you need to be on is build 99. In the meantime, I'm just going to do a very quick grub game for those who were shortlisted for KOGs Quest Leaderboard Challenge. You guys can see my screen. Ooh, all right. So I believe this would be the top 3 survivors. I'm just going to let that roll out. Is there any other thing that you want to add on before we hop into the Vault?
That one says we.
I had to use.
I just said. I just said I
you
we.
jinxed it. Oh my god, you're terrible, Pete. The winners for this week, I'll share the details right after this. So yeah, I think you're ready to go into the Vault, and I'm just gonna stop sharing my screen. I'll see you guys in there.
See you in there.
I'm gonna be in there and I'm gonna be jumping like a madman.
See you in there.
So normal you.
100%.